I no longer see her as my daughter." Those were my mother's words, posted in the family group chat for everyone to see. My brother replied, "Understood." My sister added a heart emoji. No one asked if I was okay. No one called. No one ever called. My name is Naomi Hart. I am 29 years old, and that message was the last thing I ever read from my family before I disappeared from their lives completely. 4 years ago, on the night before Mother's Day, my cousin Rachel sent me a screenshot. My mother had removed me from the family WhatsApp group. In her message announcing the holiday dinner, she wrote, "All my children will be there. All my successful children." Naomi chose to be a lowly teacher. I no longer see her as my daughter. 47 relatives saw that message. Not one of them defended me. I did not scream. I did not call her. I simply blocked every number connected to my name. My mother, my sister Victoria, the plastic surgeon, my brother Bradley, the corporate lawyer, all of them gone. What they did not know was that 4 years later, I would be standing on a stage in front of 500 people. The governor of Virginia would shake my hand, and my mother would be sitting in the audience, uninvited, watching her lowly teacher receive the highest honor in the state. Before we get into this, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story truly resonates with you. And drop your location and local time in the comments. I would love to know where you are right now. Now let me take you back to where it all began. Growing up in the Hart family, I learned one thing very early. Love was a transaction. You earned it. You performed for it. And if you did not produce enough value, you were quietly written out of the story. My mother, Margaret, ran our household like a CEO. She had retired early from her bank manager position, but she never stopped managing. Every holiday, every dinner, every conversation was curated for maximum appearance. The right clothes, the right friends, the right children. My sister Victoria was the crown jewel. 38 years old. Plastic surgeon in Richmond. Her patients included news anchors and politicians' wives. She drove a leased Mercedes and posted photos of her Rolex on restaurant tables. My mother framed every magazine article that mentioned her name. My brother Bradley was 40, corporate lawyer in 600. He married a woman named Carolyn who collected designer handbags, the way some people collect stamps. They had a house in Georgetown with a kitchen that cost more than my annual salary. And then there was me, the youngest, the one who did not fit. I graduated high school with a 4.1 GPA. I had a full scholarship to study pre-med at UVA, the same path Victoria had taken. My mother already had the future doctor bumper sticker on her car. But that summer, I volunteered at a literacy camp for underprivileged kids. There was a boy named Marcus, 8 years old, could not read past first grade. Everyone told him he was slow. By August, he finished Charlotte's Web on his own. He hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. That was the moment I knew. I called my mother that night to tell her I was declining the pre-med scholarship. I was going to study education instead. I wanted to teach elementary school. The silence on the other end lasted 17 seconds. I counted. "You're throwing your life away," she finally said. "For what? A government salary and ungrateful children?" She did not come to my college graduation. She said she had a conflict. A garden party at the club. Victoria sent a card with $50 and a note. "Good luck with your little career." I cashed the check. I needed groceries, but I never forgot the message beneath those words. I had chosen wrong. I had chosen less, and they would never let me forget it. The exclusion did not happen all at once. It crept in slowly, like mold in the corners of a room no one bothered to clean. Thanksgiving 2019. I arrived at my mother's house with a homemade sweet potato casserole, her favorite recipe. the one Grandma Ruth used to make. When I walked into the dining room, I found my place card at the small folding table in the corner. The one set up for Victoria's stepchildren and Bradley's toddler nephew. "Oh, honey," my mother said, adjusting her pearls. "We just ran out of room at the main table. You do not mind, do you?" "You are so good with children." I was 30 years old. Christmas that year was worse. I spent 3 weeks knitting my mother a cashmere scarf in her favorite shade of dove gray. When she opened it, she held it up, smiled thinly, and said, "How handmade." Then she turned to Victoria, who had given her a channel clutch, and spent 20 minutes raving about the stitching. My scarf ended up in the coat closet. I found it there 2 months later, still in the tissue paper. Tags I had carefully removed stuffed back inside. The final blow came on her birthday in early 2020. I called to ask what time dinner was. "Oh, Ingrid," she said, her voice dripping with practiced regret. "The restaurant only had 6 seats available. Your father, Bradley and Carolyn, Victoria, and her date. You understand, do not you? Family comes first. 6 seats. And somehow I was not family enough to fill one of them. But none of that prepared me for what came next. The night before Mother's Day 2020, my phone rang at 11:47 at night. Rachel? My cousin. The only one who still treated me like I existed. "Ingrid," she said, her voice shaking. "Check your WhatsApp." The family group. "They removed you." I opened the app, scrolled to Fairbanks family dinner, the group my mother had created 3 years ago to coordinate holidays. I was not in it anymore. Then Rachel sent me a screenshot. My mother's message. Posted at 8:32 that night. Reminder: Mother's Day dinner at the Jeffersons 7 p.m. sharp. All my children will be there. All my successful children. Naomi chose to be a lowly teacher. I no longer see her as my daughter. Please do not mention her name tomorrow. Below it, Victoria had replied with a heart emoji. Bradley wrote, "Understood, Mom. I read that message 47 times that night. Not because I did not understand. I understood perfectly. I read it over and over because some part of me kept searching for a loophole. A phrase that might mean something different. There was none. I did not call her that night. I did not cry. I sat on the edge of my bed in my tiny studio apartment, my hands on my knees, breathing. The next morning I woke up to silence. No calls, no texts, no awkward, "We miss you" from Victoria. Nothing. I made myself coffee. I graded papers. I went for a walk along the creek behind my apartment and watched the water catch the morning light. Then I made a decision. I blocked my mother's number, then Victoria's, then Bradley's. I deleted Instagram so I would not have to see their curated family photos. I did not announce it. I did not explain. I simply disappeared the way she wanted me to. For 4 years, I stayed invisible. I finished my master's degree in educational leadership through night classes. I became assistant principal at Maple Creek Elementary. I met a man named David, a farmer with kind eyes and soil permanently under his fingernails. We got married under an oak tree on his property. His daughter Lily became my daughter. I adopted her officially the next year. Through all of it, my family had no idea who I had become. My mother was still telling people I was saving children in Africa. Victoria was still posting photos of family dinners at tables that would never have a place for me. Bradley was still pretending he had never had a second sister. They had no idea that 4 years later, I would be standing on a stage in the Virginia state capitol, and they would be sitting in the audience, uninvited, waiting for a spotlight that would never shine on them. The call came on a Thursday afternoon in March. The Virginia Department of Education. I had been selected as the new superintendent of schools for Clark County. 12 schools. 4,000 students. 200 teachers. The announcement hit the local papers 2 weeks later. Local teacher rises to superintendent. My photo on the front page. Rachel called me that night breathless. "Naomi, your sister just posted that article in the family group chat," she wrote. "Is not this our Naomi?" What did my mother say? Nothing yet. But I was at Aunt Patricia's when it happened. Your mom called Victoria immediately. I could hear her through the phone. She was furious. Furious that you got the job. Furious that she did not know. Furious that she has been telling everyone you are in Africa, and now there is proof you have been here the whole time. 3 days later, an email arrived. From my mother. Subject line, from your mother. My dearest Naomi, I saw the wonderful news about your promotion. I always knew you had it in you. We should meet for lunch soon. I would love to hear about everything you have accomplished. Mother's Day is coming up. It would mean so much to have the whole family together again. No apology. No mention of the message. No acknowledgement of 4 years of silence. Just an invitation. As if nothing had happened. I did not respond. 2 weeks later, Victoria called. Her voice was honeyed, warm, a tone I had not heard since we were children. "Naomi, Mom has not been feeling well. She has been asking about you. She really wants to see you." I called Rachel that night. "Is my mother sick?" Rachel snorted. "She was at the spa yesterday." Posted a selfie in the eucalyptus steam room. A beat. Naomi. They are not reaching out because they miss you. They are reaching out because you made the news. I already knew, but hearing Rachel confirm it made the truth settle into my bones. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and the screenshots from 4 years ago on the screen. My mother's words. Victoria's heart emoji. Bradley's understood. I had not looked at them in years. I did not need to. I had memorized every word. David came up behind me, put his hands on my shoulders. "You are somewhere else," he said. "Talk to me." I showed him the email, my mother's invitation, Victoria's phone call, the spa selfie. "What if I am wrong?" I whispered. "What if I have been too harsh? She is still my mother. Maybe I should have." Should have what? David's voice was gentle. Called her back? Gone? Pretended the last 4 years did not happen? I did not answer. David walked to the office and came back with his laptop. He opened a folder, labeled Naomi. Inside were files I had almost forgotten. The screenshot of my mother's WhatsApp message. The email from 3 days ago. Photos from Victoria's Instagram. The Thanksgiving table, the empty space where I should have been. "I saved everything," David said quietly. Every message Rachel forwarded. Every photo that showed up online. I backed it all up with timestamps and metadata. Because I knew there would be a moment when you would forget why you walked away. I stared at the screen. At the evidence of my own erasure. "You did not fail," David said. "You survived. You built a life. You became someone. Not despite them. Without them." I closed the laptop slowly. "There is something else," David said. Rachel sent me a screenshot from the family group chat. From yesterday. He pulled it up. My mother's message glowed on the screen. "Oh, wonderful news. Naomi is being honored at the State Teacher of the Year ceremony next month. It will be televised. I have already confirmed our attendance. We will arrive early, sit in the family section, join her on stage for photos. Victoria, wear your red Valentino. Bradley, bring Carolyn. This is an opportunity to show everyone that the Fairbanks family stands together." Victoria's response already picked at my dress. "Should I bring flowers?" Bradley, "I will clear my schedule." Good PR move. I read the messages twice. Then a third time. Not one person had asked if I wanted them there. Not one message mentioned reconciliation, or an apology, or a private conversation before showing up at the biggest moment of my career. They are planning to hijack your ceremony, David said. I looked at the messages one last time. My mother's careful orchestration. My siblings' eager compliance. The complete absence of anything resembling remorse. They do not want me back, I said. They want the version of me they can show off. So what are you going to do? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I am going to let them come, and then I am going to tell the truth. The ceremony was scheduled for May 17th. 4 weeks away. 4 weeks to prepare for the moment my family would walk into my world and find out they no longer belonged in it. I started with the screenshots. David had kept everything. The WhatsApp message from 4 years ago. My mother's email from last week. Victoria's Instagram photos. Bradley's good PR move. Every single piece of paper that proved who they really were. I printed them all, arranged them in chronological order, put them in a folder labeled simply, "The Truth." The Truth. The second piece came from an unexpected place. Dr. Eleanor Hart, my mentor from my first year teaching. Now the State Education Commissioner. She had nominated me for the award. She would be introducing me on stage. 3 days before the ceremony, she called. Naomi, we need to talk. Her voice was calm, controlled. The same voice she had used when I was 22 and thought I could not make it through my first year. Someone contacted the ceremony coordinator last week. A woman named Margaret Fairbanks. Said she was your mother. She requested to speak during the family remarks portion of the program. Wanted to say a few words about raising you. I gripped the phone tighter. The coordinator passed the request to me. I turned it down. A pause. Naomi, I do not know the full story of your family situation. You have never told me and I have never asked, but I know you. I have watched you work for 15 years. I know that if you wanted your mother involved, you would have mentioned her yourself. I exhaled slowly. Thank you, Eleanor. I am introducing you on that stage. I am going to talk about your achievements, your dedication, your 15 years of changing children's lives, not your family name, not who raised you, just what you built with your own hands. She softened. You earned this, Naomi. No one gets to rewrite that story but you. When I hung up, David was watching me from the doorway. Your mother tried to get on stage. Eleanor blocked her. He shook his head slowly. Not in disbelief, in confirmation. She really thinks she can just walk back in. She thinks she deserves to. That is the difference. The night before the ceremony, I sat at the kitchen table with a blank notepad, a cup of chamomile tea. The weight of 4 years pressing against my chest. Lily had gone to bed an hour ago. Her small hand waving from the doorway. Good luck tomorrow, Mom. You. David was in the living room, giving me space to write. I stared at him. I would like to say, should I say? There's my colleague, Dr. Board members who had believed in me, the students who had made every late night work it, and then what? I thought about my mother, the woman who had hosted country club lunches while telling her friends I was saving children in Africa, who had erased me from family photos like airbrushing out a blemish, who was at this very moment probably laying out her outfit, practicing her proud mother's smile. I started writing. I want to thank my family, the family I chose, and the family that chose me back. My husband David, who saw me when I was invisible. My daughter Lily, who taught me that love is not something you earn. It is something you give freely. I put down the pen. That was enough. That was everything. No mention of the Fairbanks name. No acknowledgement. I announced my exile in the chat. Just the truth. David asked me to the doorway. Done. front of 500 people, and for the first time in 4 years I would let my silence speak. The Virginia state capitol had never looked more imposing. White columns, the dome touching the sky. 500 chairs arranged in precise rows, each one filled with educators from every corner of the state. I walked in with David on my arm and Lily holding my hand. My badge read, Naomi Hart, 2024 Virginia State Teacher of the Year. We took our seats in the front row, reserved for honorees and their immediate families. Lily sat between us, her legs swinging beneath her chair. She wore the dress we had picked out together, soft yellow with tiny embroidered daisies. "Mom," she whispered, "is that your name up there?" I looked up. A massive banner stretched across the stage. Virginia State Teacher of the Year 2024, Naomi Hart. My name 50 feet wide. Impossible to ignore. I squeezed her hand. "Yes, sweetheart. That is my name." Behind me, I heard them before I saw them. "Excuse me, that is my daughter up there. I need to be in the family section." My mother's voice, carrying across the chamber with practiced authority, the same tone she used to command waiters. Silenced dissent. Convinced strangers she belonged wherever she stood. I kept my eyes forward. Breathe. Just breathe. They swept into the second row directly behind us. My mother in cream channel, pearls at her throat. Victoria in red Valentino. Bradley in Tom Ford charcoal. Carolyn trailing behind in Oscar de la Renta. I heard my mother's stage whisper to the woman beside her, "I am Margaret Fairbanks, Naomi's mother. I raised that girl from the day she was born. Everything she is, she owes to me." Victoria leaned forward, close enough that I could smell her perfume. "Naomi, you look well." I did not turn around, did not acknowledge her. A hand touched my shoulder. Bradley's voice, casual, entitled, "Aren't you going to say hello to your family?" I turned my head just slightly, not enough to face them, just enough to be heard. "My family is sitting right next to me." Then I turned back to the stage, Lily's small hand warm in mine. Dr. Torty. Eleanor Hart walked to the podium. She adjusted the microphone, surveyed the room, and began. 15 years ago, a young woman walked into my classroom on her first day of teaching. She was 22 years old, nervous, uncertain, but there was something in her eyes I could not ignore. The room quieted. Over the next decade and a half, I watched her become the kind of educator most people only read about. She raised literacy rates by 18% in 3 years. She developed a mentorship program, now used in 37 counties across the state. She became a mother, a wife, a leader. Eleanor paused, looked directly at me, and she did it all without a safety net, without family connections, without anyone handing her a single thing. Behind me, someone shifted in their seat. "Please welcome your 2024 Virginia State Teacher of the Year, Naomi Hart." I walked to the podium on legs that felt steadier than I expected. 500 faces looked up at me. Cameras recorded every breath. And in the second row, 4 people in designer clothes waited for the acknowledgement they believed they deserved. "Thank you, Dr. Hart. And thank you to the Virginia Department of Education, the governor's office, everyone who made today possible." I looked out at the audience. The real audience. Teachers who spent their weekends grading papers. Principals who stayed late to counsel struggling students. Educators who had chosen this life not for money or status, but because they believed in the power of a child's potential. When I started teaching 15 years ago, I did not know if I would last a semester. The hours were long. The pay was modest. And some people, I paused, chose my words carefully, questioned whether it was a path worth taking. Behind me, I heard a sharp intake of breath. But here is what I learned. Teaching is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about showing up for the kids who need you, even when no one else does, especially when no one else does. I turned toward the front row, smiled at David, at Lily. I want to thank my family. My husband David, who believed in me when I had stopped believing in myself. My daughter Lily, who reminds me every single day what unconditional love looks like. I stopped. That was the list. Behind me someone stood up. Naomi, my mother's voice. I did not turn around. Naomi, sweetheart, surely you did not forget your own mother. The room went silent. 500 heads turned. Cameras swiveled. My mother was walking toward the stage. Cream channel catching the light. Practice smile firmly in place. She reached the bottom of the steps. 1 foot on the first stair. I would just like to say a few words about my daughter. About how proud I am of everything she. Mrs. Fairbanks, my voice came out calm, quiet, amplified by the podium microphone for everyone to hear. She stopped, mid-sentence, mid-step. Thank you for attending, but the family portion of my speech has concluded. Her smile flickered. Just for a second. A hairline crack in the facade. Naomi, I am your mother. You said you no longer saw me as your daughter. The words fell like stones into a still pond. 4 years ago, in a group message, you said I chose to be a lowly teacher, and that I was no longer part of your family. Gasps rippled through the audience. Someone dropped a program. I have simply honored your decision. A security guard approached Margaret gently, gesturing back toward her seat. She stood frozen, not moving forward, not retreating. For the first time in my life, my mother had nothing to say. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds. Then from somewhere in the middle of the chamber, a woman stood up. Gray-haired, mid-60s, wearing a simple cardigan, she started clapping, slow, deliberate, unmistakable. Another person stood, then 5, then 20. The applause built like a wave, rolling through the chamber until every single educator in that room was on their feet. 500 people, giving me something my own mother never had. Validation without conditions. I gripped the edges of the podium, my eyes burning. The security guard gently guided Margaret back to her seat. She walked stiffly, mechanically, her perfect posture crumbling with each step. I caught fragments of conversations from nearby rows. Did you hear what she said? Her own mother disowned her for being a teacher. That is disgusting. So that is the woman who called her a lowly teacher. When the applause finally subsided, I looked at my mother one last time. She was sitting rigidly in her chair, staring straight ahead. Her cream channel suddenly looked too bright, too trying. I looked at David, at Lily, at the family who had actually shown up. Thank you, I said into the microphone. Thank you for seeing me. I walked off the stage. My family was at the bottom. The sale of my mother's house closed last week. 62 years old. Now living in a 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Victorious practice law Bradley's firm quietly asked him to take a leave of absence. I am sitting on my front porch. The oak tree where David and I got married is bare against the winter sky. Lily is inside practicing piano. The same song I learned when I was her age. On the table beside me is a framed photograph. My grandmother Ruth, standing in front of this very house, the day she bought it in 1987. On the back, in her handwriting, for my family. All of them. I look at her face. At the woman who taught me that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up. I finally understand. If you have ever been told you were not good enough by the people who were supposed to love you, you already know exactly what it feels like to stand on that stage and say nothing. When your own family decides your worth, do you spend your life trying to prove them wrong? Or do you build something so full that their opinion no longer fits anywhere inside it. I would love to hear your story in the comments. I read every single one. If you want more stories like this, there is one waiting for you in the description. It is about another woman who learned that the quietest people are often the ones who have already done the math. I am Naomi Hart. And this was the night I stopped being invisible.